The Senate will come to order. I ask everyone to please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In the absence of clergy, let us bow our heads in a moment of silent reflection or prayer. Reading of the Journal.
In Senate, Tuesday, February 27, 2024, the Senate met pursuant to adjournment. The Journal of Monday, February 26, 2024 was read and approved. On motion, the Senate adjourned.
Without objection, the Journal stands approved as read. Presentation of petitions, messages from the Assembly, messages from the Governor, reports of standing committees, reports of select committees, communications and reports from state officers, motions and resolutions. Senator Gianaris.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. On page 22, I offer the following amendments to Calendar 233, Senate Print 6112, and ask that said bill retain its place on third reading calendar.
The amendments are received and the bill will retain its place on the third reading calendar. Senator Gianaris.
Mr. President, this time we're going to simultaneously call an immediate meeting of the Rules Committee in room 332 and then proceed with resolutions, beginning with previously adopted resolution 1586 by Senator Tedesco. Read that resolution's title and recognize Senator Tedesco.
There will be an immediate meeting of the Rules Committee in room 332. The Secretary will read.
Resolution 1586 by Senator Tedesco, congratulating the Waterford Half Moon girls soccer team and head coach Megan Reynolds upon the occasion of winning the New York State Class C girls soccer championship.
Senator Tedesco.
Thank you, Mr. President. And let me apologize for the delay. You shouldn't delay and make champions wait. But we're proud to have them here today. And I'm pleased to welcome the back-to-back New York State Class C soccer champions to the chamber today. They are the Waterford Half Moon Fordians. The Waterford Half Moon High School girls soccer team and head coach Megan Reynolds played to a 2-2 double overtime tie with Mount Academy to secure their share of a second consecutive New York State Class C girls soccer championship on Sunday, November 12, 2023, at Homer High School in Homer, New York. Prior to their success at the state level, these outstanding young ladies won the Wassaran League Section 2 and Regional Championship, compiling an outstanding overall record of 19-1-3. The Fordians are also New York State Public High School Athletic Association Scholar Athlete Team, as they garnered an overall team grade point average of 95.9. I want to welcome the team members to you. They are Madeline Atwood, Bailey Beauregard, Imani Bloomfield, Rylan Charbonneau, Alondra Collette Cruz, Emily Costello, Emily Faniff, Addison Galuski, Peyton Galuski, Zoe Grennan, Cassidy McClement, Piper Morris, Riley Nato, Mia O'Brien, Alexandra Phelps, Isabella Raimondo, Samira Roberts, Katie Stalmer, and Isabella Vecchio. And of course, as I said, they don't get this far only with their great athletic talent and great educational achievements without great leadership. And the head coaches here, Megan Reynolds, and assistant coach, Courtney Tremley. Mr. President, I would ask you to welcome them, congratulate them, and offer them all the cordialities of this august body.
Thank you, Senator Tedesco. To our guests, I welcome you on behalf of the Senate. We extend to you the privileges and courtesies of the House. Please rise and be recognized. The resolution was adopted on January 9th. Senator Serrano.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let's please take up a previously adopted resolution 1572 by Senator Prasad. Read that resolution title only and recognize Senator Prasad.
The Secretary will read.
Resolution 1572 by Senator Prasad, memorializing Governor Kathy Hochul to proclaim February 29, 2024 as Rare Disease Day in the state of New York.
Senator Prasad.
Thank you, Mr. President. February 29, 2024 is designated as a Rare Disease Day, a rare day indeed. This day is usually recognized on the last day of February, but here we are, a leap year, and so it's fitting that we're saying it's Rare Disease Day on the 29th. A rare disease is defined by the Orphan Drug Act of 1983 as a condition that affects fewer than 200,000 people in the United States. Over 7,000 of these diseases have been identified, the more common of which include Huntington disease, spina bifida, Fragile X syndrome, Guillain-Barré syndrome, Crohn's disease, cystic fibrosis. Collectively, there are 7,000 diseases that are considered rare diseases, and they affect up to 30 million Americans. According to the CDC, among the rare diseases, it is common to find that disease is diagnosed and delayed. The definitions for surveillance are usually lacking. International classification of diseases codes for record keeping are poorly defined, and the list goes on and on. Most rare diseases begin in childhood and can have devastating health consequences, including premature death, severely affecting the lives of caregivers, a substantial economical impact on patients, their families, and society. Although rare diseases are a common cause of neurological and intellectual disabilities, and many have no cure, some can be prevented or controlled, and the lifespan of patients can be extended into adulthood. For instance, the life expectancy of cystic fibrosis patients has increased from under 10 years to over 40 years. The prevalence of Tay-Sachs has been drastically reduced among the Ashkenazi Jewish population through population screening and strategies such as prenatal diagnosis for carrier couples and marriage avoidance between carriers. For these reasons, Rare Diseases Day was established in 2008 and was first celebrated on that February 29th day, the last day again of the year. It is to raise awareness of the aforementioned struggles of millions of Americans who are considered to have rare diseases. Again, we have over 7,000 rare diseases that are diagnosed. Many athletes you've heard, suddenly they're diagnosed with something that you've never heard of, and they say, they're 1 in a million that will have this disease. So today we acknowledge all of the persons those 30 million Americans who are considered to have a rare disease and their struggles that they continue to endure. So today, please, if you know anyone who's suffering from a rare disease, tell them today we acknowledge them and we understand their plight, and we will continue to fight until these cures are found. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Prasad. Senator Mayer.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank my colleague, Senator Prasad, for making sure that we not only acknowledge this day as Rare Disease Day, but recognize the personal challenges of the families of those with rare diseases. I want to mention 3 that I know in my district and in my life, 2 of whom passed away. Jacqueline Baker, a wonderful friend, a teacher, a member of the Teachers Union. She was the parent of 2 children with sickle cell disease who faced many challenges. Within our community, she was a leader on behalf of sickle cell, fighting for funds and research and treatment. Her leadership has led to marked changes in our community, as along with what Senator Prasad said, we need money, we need research, and we need the state to pay attention to these diseases one by one that affect our constituents. The next is our very good friend for myself and the Majority Leader, a true hero, Pat Quinn, an ALS advocate. He was the co-founder of the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, which became a worldwide effort. Pat Quinn was a Yonkers native, a brilliant person, a most articulate leader who turned a life-changing diagnosis into steadfast commitment and advocacy. He died at 37 years old. And together with the Majority Leader, we have been fighting for funding for ALS in the state budget, for research, advocacy, treatment for so long, and we were fortunate that the governor put some ALS funding into the budget this year. It is long overdue. And third, Bridget Brennan, who's a trustee in the village of Larchmont in my district, whose son has Friedreich's ataxia, a debilitating, life-shortening, degenerative neuromuscular disease. Bridget reached out immediately when she saw the governor's proposal and said, please make sure that other rare diseases are included in this effort. So today we acknowledge the personal struggles and challenges of those with rare diseases, their families, particularly their parents, who so often take care of them, and we press collectively that it is our responsibility to do better as a state in terms of research, funding, and treatment. As the resolution said, more must be done. So again, I thank my colleague, Senator Prasad, for making sure not only we talk about it, but we walk the walk of what needs to be done for rare diseases in our state. And thank you. I proudly vote aye.
Thank you, Senator Mayer. The resolution was adopted on January 9th. Senator Gianaris.
At the request of the sponsors, the resolutions are open for co-sponsorship.
The resolutions are open for co-sponsorship. Should you choose not to be a co-sponsor on the resolutions, please notify the desk. Senator Gianaris.
Please take out the calendar.
Secretary will read.
Calendar number 127, Senate Print 1413 by Senator Hinchey, an act to amend the Environmental Conservation Law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect on the 1st of April.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 127, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Martins, Rhodes, Weber, and White. Ayes 57, nays 4.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 135, Senate Print 345 by Senator Gunardes, an act to amend the civil practice law and rules.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 60th day and shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 135, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Helming, Lanza, Martins, Ort, Rhodes, and White. Ayes 54, nays 7.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 138, Senate Print 2389 by Senator Myrie, an act to amend the Real Property Actions and Proceedings Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 120th day and shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Senator Borrello to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, I understand the intention here with this. I spent 10 years in county government, and I know the blight that we often have as a result. My concern here is how this will impact the ability for people to be able to get mortgages, for the number of lenders that will be in that space here in New York State. You know, we have a housing crisis. It's probably one of the things we can all agree on. And reducing the number of lenders, increasing their costs, which ultimately are going to be borne by the folks that are getting those loans, is a problem, and this will exacerbate that problem. It's going to increase costs, reduce choice. And at the end of the day, I think we all agree, owning a home, which is usually the largest asset any family ever has, and what creates generational wealth, particularly for people in lower income ranges, this is important that we continue to have access and that banks, mortgage lenders are able to do business here and do it affordably, so that in turn it is affordably for those folks that want to achieve that American dream of owning their own home. So I will be voting no on this one. Thank you.
Senator Borrello to be recorded in the negative. Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 138, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Ashby, Borrello, Kazari Fitzpatrick, Felder, Gallivan, Griffo, Helming, Lanza, Martins, Matera, Murray, Oberacker, Ort, Palumbo, Rhodes, Rollinson, Steck, Tedisco, Weber, and White. Ayes 41, nays 20.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 202, Senate Print 717 by Senator Clare, enactment of real property tax law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Senator Claire to explain her vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Senior Citizens Rent Increase Exemption Program, SCREE, is one of the most important tools that we have to freeze rents for older New Yorkers who are often on very fixed incomes but wish and deserve to age in the communities that they have lived all their lives. In New York City, it applies to well over 100,000 households, but like so many benefits, has hard caps and cliffs that lock people out. This bill will expand the population eligible to take advantage of SCREE by excluding all medical and prescription drug expenses not reimbursed or paid for by insurance from the definition of income for the purpose of determining eligibility for the program. By allowing these essential costs to be deducted, fewer individuals will exceed the income cap and thus will remain or become eligible for SCREE program and its many benefits. I wish to thank my beloved seniors from A. Philip Randolph Center for their advocacy and hard work on this bill and for lobbying me to pass it, and I proudly vote aye.
Senator Claire to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 225, Senate Print 1747 by Senator Ramos, enactment of the labor law.
Read the last section.
Section 5, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 236, Senate Print 1180 by Senator Harkam, enactment of Chapter 668 of the laws of 1977.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 239, Senate Print 4544 by Senator Skoufis, enact to amend the general municipal law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 280, Senate Print 2297 by Senator Mayer, enact to amend the general municipal law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 90th day it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 416, Senate Print 8440 by Senator Adabo, enact to amend the racing, pari-mutuel wagering, and breeding law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 417, Senate Print 8441 by Senator Adabo, enact to amend Chapter 473 of the laws of 2010.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Sewell Cousins, White.
Announce the results. Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 417, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Brisport, Martinez, and May. Ayes 59, nays 3.
The bill is passed. Senator Gianaris, that completes the reading of today's calendar.
Mr. President, I believe there's a report of the Rules Committee at the desk. Can you please take that up?
The Secretary will read.
Senator Stuart Cousins from the Committee on Rules reports the following bills. Senate Print 8653A by Senator Gianaris, enact to amend the state law. Senate Print 8664 by Senator Myrie, enact to amend the election law. Both bills report direct to third reading.
Move to accept the report of the Rules Committee.
All those in favor of accepting the report of the Rules Committee signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The report of the Rules Committee is accepted. Senator Gianaris.
Please take up the supplemental calendar.
The Secretary will read.
Calendar number 565, Senate Print 8653A by Senator Gianaris, enact to amend the state law.
Message of necessity at the desk.
There is a message of necessity at the desk.
Move to accept the message of necessity.
All those in favor of accepting the message, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The message is accepted and the bill is before the House. Lay it aside.
Calendar number 566, Senate Print 8664 by Senator Myrie, an act to amend the election law.
Is there a message of necessity at the desk?
There is a message of necessity at the desk.
Move to accept the message of necessity.
All those in favor of accepting the message, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The message is accepted and the bill is before the House. Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Storkens, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed. That completes the reading of the supplemental calendar.
Please go to the controversial calendar.
Ring the bell. The secretary will read.
Calendar number 565, Senate Print 8653A by Senator Gianaris, an act to amend the state law.
Senator Palumbo, why do you rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Will the sponsor yield for a few questions, please?
Will the sponsor yield?
I will.
Sponsor yields.
Very good. Thank you, Mike. Good afternoon. How are you? Just generally, I guess, as a reminder to our colleagues and for our folks not paying attention at home, this bill would create congressional district lines for the 26 congressional districts in New York State. And on Monday, there was a map of districts submitted by the Independent Redistricting Commission. So my first question is, does this map in any way alter the lines from the map that was voted on Monday?
Well, yes, otherwise we would have accepted the map on Monday.
Will the sponsor yield?
Sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
So in that regard, with respect to any changes, who chooses or selected the changes that are within the current map that's before the floor today?
I'm just trying to make sure I understand your question correctly. Who?
Certainly, I'll rephrase it. So I'll even make it, I'll kind of break it down a little bit. So after the original map was rejected, we now have new districts that are described by meets and bounds with specific geographical locations. Who chose these new lines?
That was a collaborative effort between the Senate and Assembly, like most legislation that appears before us.
And that was by the Senate, I'm sorry, could you say that a little?
And the Assembly.
And the Assembly?
Yes.
Okay. And would you yield for another question, please?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
And was there any collaboration by the Democratic Minority Conference in the United States Congress?
Repeat that, please.
Sure. Hakeem Jeffries is the Democrat minority leader in the United States House of Representatives. Was he consulted at all with respect to these districts?
No, I would not say it was consulted, no.
Would the sponsor yield for another question?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
So with respect to the collaboration between the Senate and Assembly, who specifically, which specific members? For example, did you have any say with respect to the changes in these lines? You specifically, Senator.
Well, as you can see on the paper in front of you, I am the prime sponsor of the bill. So my name is attached to the legislation before you, and I had to agree to submit the legislation. So in that respect, yes, I did. And Assemblymember Zabrowski, I believe, is the sponsor in the Assembly.
The sponsor yield for another question.
The sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Thank you. And of course, through you, Mr. President, certainly sometimes we ask questions that we know the answer to in this situation. So, Senator Gianaris, other than yourself as the prime sponsor of this bill, did the sponsor consult with any other Senate members regarding the outline of these specific districts?
Oh, certainly.
I'm sorry?
Certainly.
Certainly. Thank
Yes.
you. Would the sponsor yield for another question?
Sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
And then again, with respect to members of the Assembly, I'm assuming that they certainly have a sponsor over there in the event that this is on the floor. So did you consult at all with any specific members of the Assembly?
Yes, we consulted with numerous members of the Assembly.
Does sponsor yield for another question?
The sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Can you just tell us generally what specific issues are involved with regarding the collaboration and drafting of congressional districts. I know there was some talk about communities of interest, splitting towns and counties. Is there anything that I'm missing?
Well, as you know, Senator Palumbo, the Constitution prescribes guidelines for what should govern these maps, and those criteria were evaluated as it related to the Independent Commission's map, and then certainly we attempted as best we could to draw a map that was better in that regard than the map that we rejected on Monday.
Sponsor yield.
The sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
And thank you, Senator. And through you, Mr. President, with regard to those considerations, do any of those factors weigh more heavily than the other when reviewing this criteria? For example, would keeping a community of interest together weigh more heavily than splitting counties or splitting towns or something else, another aspect of that criteria?
It's a good question, and the Constitution does not assign priority to its various factors, so we did our best to come up with a product that complied as best holistically with all of them as we could.
The sponsor yield.
The sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
So in that regard, are there also additional factors that are prescribed by statute that are not necessarily in the Constitution regarding the adjustment or changes to a map submitted by the Independent Redistricting Commission with respect to the changes from that map to a new map?
Is that a statement or a question?
Just, I started kind of, are there any? But yes, are there any other statutes or laws that would have to be considered with respect to the drawing of a new map that may be altered or may be different than the IRC map?
Senator Palumbo, I feel like you're beating around the bush. Are you asking about the 2% statutory rule?
And yes, I'll yield to answer that? Exactly. That's where I was going. Would
So
sponsor yield
yes,
for
that
another
rule
question?
is in the statute, except that this bill supersedes it.
Would the sponsor yield?
The sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Thank you. And now you've indicated that this bill supersedes it. So in that regard, regarding that 2%, specifically I have here some changes between the IRC map and this map that's before us today. In Congressional District 1, 6.2%, Congressional District 2, 6.2%, CD3, 6.2%, CD14, 5.7%, CD15, 5.9%, CD16, 5.9%, 18, 3.9%, 19, 7.7%, 20, 3.6%, and in CD21, 7.4%. So my question is, under what authority can you deviate in excess of 2% in light of the fact that there is a law on the books that is currently a chapter from 2012 that would require us to stay within the 2% limit?
I appreciate Senator Palumbo listing out select districts, but I want to complete the list for him. Congressional District 4, 0%, Congressional District 5, 0%, Congressional District 6, 0%, Congressional District 7, 0%, Congressional District 8, 0%, Congressional District 9, 0%, Congressional District 10, 0%, Congressional District 11, 0%, Congressional District 12, 0%, Congressional District 13, 0%, Congressional District 17, 0%, Congressional District 22, 0%, Congressional District 23, 0%, Congressional District 24, 0%, Congressional District 25, 0%, and Congressional District 26, 0%. Now, it bears noting that the amount of change for the whole state is approximately 2%. Even though we not withstood the statute and said it is superseded, we did our best to attempt to minimize the deviation that was required to correct the flaws in the map sent by the IRC. And so I think to answer your question, by minimizing the deviation to as small a number as we saw fit to improve upon the map for Monday, and in doing so to comply with the constitutional flaws of the map as opposed, which clearly I think we could all agree supersede from a legal perspective any statutory rules, we kept the deviations you just listed to a minimum.
Sponsor yield.
The sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Thank you, Senator. And with regard to the changes that were made, and I'll just the area I'll discuss, of course, is where I am, down on Long Island, that there were additional counties split, towns split, for example. Newly re-elected Congressman Swazi's district now splits Huntington in half. Congressional District 3 went from 2 counties to three counties. CD2 went from just Suffolk County to now Suffolk and Nassau. So can you tell me the reasons for that split? Because there was some discussion on Monday that there weren't communities of interest kept together, they were splitting counties, that the IRC map was flawed in such a way that it continued to supposedly split counties and towns in contravention to the Constitution. So why is that appropriate, particularly just, for example, on Long Island, and how does that also comply?
Let me correct the record first. District 2 had already been crossing into Suffolk County. That was not a new crossing that occurred there. And to answer your question about District 3, we returned this configuration to that had existed at least over the last 10 years, I think perhaps longer than that, where the 3rd District was a North Shore district. Clearly, we believe a community of interest on the North Shore of Long Island. It also bears noting that this configuration is very similar to the configuration that so many lawsuits, I'm trying to get it right, the petitioners in the original lawsuit against the maps we drew suggested for this district. So that was either you all or your surrogates or whoever it was that brought the original suit that suggested a district very similar to this.
Thank you, Senator Gianaris. On the bill, please.
Senator Palumbo on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I do appreciate some of these comments with regard to why these changes were allegedly needed. But I think that the bottom line is this, that we created an independent redistricting commission in this body and down the hall. It passed on the floor of the Senate and the Assembly. It passed a second time on the floor of the Senate and the floor of the Assembly. And then the concept of that commission was put to the voter. And the voters of New York State chose to draft districts in a particular fashion, in a bipartisan, equal fashion. Because again, we always talk about you're not supposed to be selecting as elected officials the voter. The voter selects you. That's the idea behind gerrymandering, that you don't pick and choose your communities. You should have the community's interests at heart, not your own. And the voters passed this. And then we have a map come to the floor that was passed 9-1. So we have not just a simple majority of a bipartisan commission that was constitutionally created. We have a 9-1, 90% thought that was the fair and reasonable map. Let's not forget how we got here with these maps in the beginning. There was a gerrymandering, an obvious constitutionally violative gerrymandering of congressional districts. We had a special master from out of state who was simply a facts person, data. They selected districts. And the IRC map came out pretty close because that criteria was considered, again, by actually political people. They came to that decision, and it was passed 9-1. And then we have, unfortunately, politics injects itself. And then we have a rejection of that map and this map here. So regardless of the outcome, and we all know that these numbers, some districts improved for one party, they improved a little for the other. This favors incumbents, in my opinion. And this ultimately is more about, or only about, the process. The voters chose a commission to make this decision. That's not what we have here. For those reasons, I'll be voting no. Thank you.
Are there any other senators wishing to be heard? Senator Lanza, why do you rise?
Mr. President, would the sponsor yield for just a very few questions?
Will the sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Through you, Mr. President, can the sponsor tell us when the map that is before us today was drawn?
Well, it was introduced very late on Monday evening.
Will the sponsor yield?
Will the sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Through you, Mr. President, I understand when it was introduced. The question I have is, when was it actually drawn?
The legislation was introduced late Monday evening. I'm not sure I understand the question beyond that. This map that we are looking at, well, it's in text form in the bill, was not in a form that you might consider drawn or completed till it was introduced very late on Monday.
Sponsor yield.
Sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Through you, Mr. President. The data that was inserted into the legislation through that introduction, did it not exist in any form on any computer bank or on paper before it was introduced and made part of that legislation?
We're back to the computers, Mr. President. The data, the census data and the demographic data of all these districts in their current form, in the form submitted by the IRC, or just the maps in general, exist in the entity known as LAT4, the Legislative Task Force on Reapportionment. It was not compiled into the product we are voting on today until very late on Monday.
Would the sponsor yield?
Sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Through you, Mr. President. So we know how things work here, and I know, and we all know when this was introduced, but the maps themselves did not just come out of the ethos. They had to have existed for someone to insert them into the legislation. And so my question remains, when were they, quote unquote, drawn? When were these congressional districts decided to look the way they are today in this map?
Monday night.
Will the sponsor yield?
Will sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Through you, Mr. President. So prior to Monday night, there are no computer hard drives, there are no pieces of paper that have these or any other maps besides the IRC maps either entered or drawn upon them.
I think you should make your question a little more specific. You just asked me if there are computers that have any maps on them of any kind.
Trying to avoid the whole robot computer thing.
Yes, I appreciate that.
We're being drawn in extra. With the sponsor yield?
Sponsor yield.
So let's start, I'll dissect the question. So prior to Monday night, is there any computer hard drive upon which these maps are recorded?
No.
Would the sponsor yield?
Will sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Prior to Monday night, are there any pieces of paper that have these maps drawn upon them?
No.
Would the sponsor yield?
Will the sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Through you, Mr. President. Before this legislation was printed, someone had to enter the words and the map lines into a computer. My first question, if I can ask two at once, through you, Mr. President, is who did that? And second, when did that happen?
Well, the answer to the second question is Monday night. The first question is, I believe it was the Bill Drafting Commission, like they do with every other piece of legislation that comes before us.
Very good. Would the sponsor yield?
Will sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
I want to go back to the who. A human being, or more than one human being, decided that this is what the maps ought to look like. And I want to go through a few. Well, first I'll ask generally, through you, Mr. President. Who are those people?
I feel like my memory's good enough to remember our debate 2 years ago, Senator Lanza. And if you think I'm going to sit here and identify staff for you to harass, that's not going to happen. So you could ask me about members, you could ask about public officials that have engaged in this process. It's my name on the bill, so you can ask me about whatever's before us because I agreed to introduce the bill. But I'm not going to sit here and list for you staff members that have worked on this project.
Would the sponsor yield?
Will the sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Senator Janaris, I have no intention of doing that. I asked you who. You were free to tell me who those people were. I'm not looking to harass staff members or any member in this chamber for that matter. I'm looking to find out what happened here, why it happened, and how it happened. So I will be more specific through you, Mr. President. Are any of the lines that form the borders of these congressional districts, were they decided, selected by Congressman Jeffries? No. Would the sponsor yield?
Sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Through you, Mr. President, were any of the lines that form these congressional districts chosen by the Speaker of the Assembly?
I can't say who in the Assembly side chose a line, but we obviously negotiated with the Assembly to come out with this legislation.
Would the sponsor yield?
The sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Through you, Mr. President, I'm expecting a Monday night response, but perhaps not. When was the decision to move the 3rd Congressional District into the town of Huntington made?
Monday night.
Would the sponsor yield?
Sponsor yield.
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Through you, Mr. President, who made that decision?
It was a joint decision of the Senate and the Assembly.
Would the sponsor yield?
Sponsor yield.
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Through you, Mr. President. So now, neither Congressman Jeffries, my friend, the Speaker of the Assembly, my friend, the Majority Leader here, I'm speaking of the Majority Leader. I said my friend. My very good friend, Senator Janaris, none of you actually selected any of the lines or the borders that comprise these maps.
Say that at all.
Well, I'm asking,
You're asking if any of us had something to do with it?
through you, Mr. President, I'm asking whether or not any of you selected any of the borders that comprise these congressional districts.
Well, certainly myself and Assemblymember Zabrowski introduced legislation that contained these borders. So obviously, he and I decided to propose these borders.
Would the sponsor yield?
Sponsor yield.
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Senator Janaris, you mentioned both, I think it was Monday, and also today certainly, flaws in the IRC maps, the Independent Redistricting Commission maps. Could you tell us which of those flaws are corrected here?
I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
Senator Lanza. The IRC proposal from Monday split counties 6 times, and we repaired 2 of those splits in Orange County, which we made whole, and in Rensselaer County, which was split 3 times under their proposal. The communities of interest that were not reflected in the IRC proposal in the North Bronx was repaired so that Co-op City can be attached to its traditional congressional district. And on Long Island, as we discussed earlier with Senator Palumbo, where there now is a North Shore district, as there has been for many, many years on Long Island. There was also, I believe, an effort by the Commission to draw lines, it appears, for the purpose of benefiting specific incumbents, and we took steps to unravel that improper map drawing.
Would the sponsor yield for one last question?
The sponsor yield.
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Through you, Mr. President, I just, one last attempt to sort of get at the heart of this with respect to the when, the how, and the who. Is the sponsor telling us that this map was not drawn until after the Independent Redistricting Commission maps were voted down on this floor.
The maps we are voting on today were not drawn until after that time. That is correct.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Janaris.
Are there any other senators wishing to be heard? Seeing and hearing none, debate is closed. The secretary will ring the bell.
Mr. President, just so the members understand, we're waiting for one of my colleagues who is taking a potty break.
Read the last section.
Section 5, this action will take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Dabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Sewell, Cuttins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 565, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Ashby, Borrello, Castanet Fitzpatrick, Gallivan, Griffo, Helmy, Lanza, Martins, Matera, Obaracker, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rhodes, Rollison, Steck, and Tedisco. Ayes 45, nays 17.
The bill is passed. Senator Gianaris, that completes the reading of the controversial
Is there
calendar.
any further business at the desk?
There is no further business at the desk.
I move to adjourn until Monday, March 4th at 3 p.m., intervening days being legislative days.
On motion, the Senate stands adjourned until Monday, March 4th at 3 p.m., with the intervening days being legislative days.